Yo, I got a whole lot of joysticks. I used to have a whole lot more. I started around PS1 Dreamcast. And the general story is, don't cheap out, don't get shit. But I had a whole bunch of crappy sticks I ended up tossing out. But let's go down the line and see what I've kept. So I still got this guy. He is a piece of junk. Like the button right here, like these big buttons, like if you press them down to kind of hiss, they would actually get stuck. This is kind of squishy and it's really crappy. But that was the NES advantage, and hardly anybody didn't use the thing. You could control the speed of the turbo buttons with it. But I do not recommend this thing. I've only ever beat really a couple games with it. I do not like it. And back when I first had a chance to play it, when you were like 10 or 11, you just couldn't play stick at all. It was awful. It was awful compared to the control pad. Then I had so much junk and crap, and I would play with it just a couple of times, and my cheap stick would break. And so I ended up importing this guy right here. This is a Hori Fighting Stick 2. It's not an Arcade Pro. I've got one of them. I'll show you in a second. But this was I think it was PS2, but I might have worked on PS1. I think there might have been a PS1 button or something shit here. I can't actually remember. But it was a PS2, and actually has the L3 and R3 I see right here. Played a shit ton of Virtua Fighter with it. I played so much Virtua Fighter that I ended up having to put like a Band-Aid here, because my ring finger would be under here as I'm playing, and I would get like bleeding and shit out the side. But that's where I first had a decent. Now these buttons right here, these are Hori buttons. They're not real Sanwa, but they're actually pretty dang good. And I think I went through at least one of these before, and I can't remember what. I ended up getting another one. And so as far as I know, this guy still works pretty good, but I hardly ever played PS2 anymore. Now this right here was the official, let me see if it's on the back. Yeah, this right here was the official joystick for Xbox 360, and so because Dead or Alive 4 was like a launch title, and so they came out with this. If you look at it, the buttons are very bizarre. So you had a Y is way over here. That's some confusing ass shit. But this would be basically a Hori fighting stick, except officially for Xbox, and it actually has a dang. I think that's where you would put your mic stuff. I think. But yeah, these were actually decent. But this right here is the first really decent one I had. And this is actually custom made. It was by a guy, and I seen it off of IGN back in the day before they sucked. It was called Arcade in the Box, and it's basically got a dang Mad Catz controller inside the PCB, the board, and then everything up here is Sanwa buttons, and the Sanwa controller. Freaking, when I had this, it's like, holy crap, this is like revolutionary. This right here, it's wood. It's made out of wood. I don't think that guy's in the business anymore, but once I got the control of these Sanwa buttons, man, I couldn't stop. Now this right here is actually what I still use today. This was made by Sega, and it's either Sanwa or like knockoff Sanwa. And it was made for PS3, and it only cost like, to import it was like $80. It was cheap as shit, because Sega's stupid. Very high quality. It's heavy as shit, made out of metal on the bottom. Now it came with a crappy board in it, and it was for PS3. There was something wrong with the board where it didn't register double input. That's very good. Like if you test two at the same time, it would fuck up. Right now it's got an Xbox One controller in it, and so this is my main controller even to this day. And some of these buttons actually don't work, but the main ones do. And I think this right here is probably the Xbox home button, if I remember right, and then select and start. But this has been my bread and butter. And since it's an Xbox One controller actually in it, it is works on PC, so it's an X input. And so I was originally wanting to get the Mad Catz tournament, whatever the hell, TE2 or whatever the hell it was, going to be for Xbox One launch, because, you know, Killer Instinct was a damn launch game. And I'm like, man, I gotta get me a joystick for it. And the fucking Mad Catz, you know, shit sold out in like 2 seconds. And I'm like, really? Do I want a crappy Mad Catz anyway? So I decided, I was pissed off. We're like, we're gonna make one. And me and my friend, my podcast bro, we made it. And still to this day, that's actually still what I use. I don't even know if these are real Sanwa. They feel like real Sanwa though. Alright, and then I got 2 custom NES joysticks when I was doing a whole lot of NES gameplay. And I made one, and recently a YouTube buddy of mine, he made this one. And so these are authentic Sanwa parts. This box, the enclosure is just the project box, it's an electrical box. You can just get all kinds of them on the side. Real Sanwa, you know, BA start select, and that's it. And you know, where'd the NES little hookups? They're both freaking amazing. So when I play actual NES, this is my main thing. I don't actually use the control pad anymore. This guy I got for PS4, and I've barely used him. This is a Hori Real Arcade Pro 4, and so unlike those other Horis down there, they were about 50 or 60 bucks. This guy was, I forgot, it was like 150. He's expensive as shit. Now I could tell and feel that these are like fake Sanwas. They're not real Sanwas. It's still pretty good. I think I got this for, now I don't remember what I got. It was some anime game I got it for. That was my original, probably like Guilty Gear Zerd or something like that. There was something only on PlayStation. And so I had this guy for when you have to use PS4. I don't usually use PS4 for fighting games. I use PC these days. And this is my latest guy, and it's some cheap piece of shit I paid $60 for on eBay. And I'm surprised it came with a box. It looked like something that some guy made in his house. But this is a hitbox. I have not even learned to use hitbox yet. We're going to start working with it. But as soon as I got a hold of these buttons, I'm like, this is shit. You can hear it? You can press this click button and still nothing happens. I'm sitting there playing this and like, it felt like shit. Being on a hitbox also was weird. And just the buttons was like, ugh, it felt like crap. But I kind of figured that these buttons might suck. It's coming $60, you know, you're not getting freaking much for that. So I had some Sanwa buttons, and I've ordered some more. So I've already started to replace them. This red one's a Sanwa, and this one's the what it came with. All right, and then on the inside here, open up view. Yeah, that's exactly what I was expecting to be in there. So you can just pull a button out. You take the little wires out and put them in. It's like a 5-minute damn job. The actual PCB in there is a shit you just get off of Amazon. It's just a generic arcade controller for PC. And so we're going to learn hitbox on this. If I really, really like hitbox, I'll make something else. I'll probably make it myself. The actual hitbox brand is insanely expensive. I think it starts at $200. But this is where we are on the arcade sticks, the collection we got. What I found over the years is I might have done a lot of do-it-yourself stuff, but don't cheap out. Put the good stuff in there, man. And so, fuck Mad Catz, Razor, whatever there is, and you know, Hori's okay, but there's still what I would consider on the cheap end. But I really like just the physical control of just using the joystick, and it feels really good. And I would prefer that on any game where it's good enough to just use a stick. You don't need a dang analog controls or anything like that. Then this is how the way I like to play.